Yesterday, I put this story up on don'tspeaknews.com. Kamala Harris rushed on the plane to Delaware to meet with the Biden staff. And so we talked about that yesterday on the blog, talking about let's pretend that the real Joe Biden is still alive. I believe he's been dead since 2018. His own granddaughter said so. And then let's ask ourselves, what's going on here if he's still alive? So there are some who doubt Joe Biden is alive at this point and are demanding proof of life, like Lauren Boebert, the representative from Colorado. She was demanding proof of life from Joe Biden yesterday by 5 o'clock. And of course, as far as I know, that hasn't happened. And as of yesterday, like I said, I hadn't seen anything from the Biden White House in that subject or any other subject for that matter. Joe didn't even have the decency to tell America about him dropping out of the race, like on camera or in person. It was all done by tweets. More evidence that Joe Biden is alive at this point is the fact that the meeting between he and Netanyahu was canceled, and neither he nor the vice president, Kamala Harris, met Bibi at the airport. And here's a video of that arrival if you'd like to watch it. I'll put the link up as always. So Netanyahu has now been requesting a meet with Donald Trump, apparently, after being snubbed by both Joe and Kamala. Like I've been saying all along, these things combined tell me that not all is well in the Biden camp. Here's some more rumors about Biden from Hal Turner. There's gigantic speculation taking place that something happened to Biden. He's not been seen or heard from since his alleged withdrawal from the presidential campaign. Many are claiming the signature on the campaign withdrawal letter was digitally signed by computer, not Biden himself. I've seen stories alluding to that as well. Other rumors saying Biden was evacuated by a medevac helicopter from Vegas over the weekend after he failed to appear for a speech. And now that's where I'm going to stop real quick and show you this story I came across this morning. Let me give it a like before I forget. This is from the dossier over on Substack. Exclusive. President Biden suffered an undisclosed medical emergency during his time in Las Vegas, according to police sources who are on the detail. Air Force One flew so fast that the plane actually shook on its way back to the East Coast. Yeah, they made it in under 4 hours. So here we go. When President Biden began his campaign trip to Las Vegas last week, everything seemed to be running as smoothly as it could for an 81-year-old president in physical and cognitive decline. The day before he abruptly left town, Biden delivered the keynote address in front of a packed crowd of almost 5,000 people at the NAACP convention at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. On Wednesday, Biden was scheduled to deliver the keynote at the Unidos U.S. annual convention at the MGM Grand, with thousands in attendance anticipating his arrival. Well, with the venue located right off the Vegas Strip, the president's security detail and motorcade required massive outside support from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. Since Biden did not appear at the convention or any of his scheduled events later that afternoon. Instead, he left town, departing Las Vegas on Air Force One for Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where he remains today. Since that trip to Las Vegas, President Biden has announced over social media he would not seek a second term, while throwing his support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, we know all of this. So let's fast forward a little bit to this weird story. Because Dr. Kevin O'Connor, the president's White House physician and a family business partner, said Biden presented this afternoon with upper respiratory symptoms to include runny nose and non-productive cough, with general malaise, meaning tiredness, signaling that the president had nothing more than cold-like symptoms. But we're told a very different story here. We have verified that several of the core elements in Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk's viral X post from Monday are indeed true, according to law enforcement sources. And these were people that were on the security detail, guys. But here's the actual weird lead they got from Charlie Kirk. It's a story that people should look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro. The official story was that Joe Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to this source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Biden and to close necessary streets so that the POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then, mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the Secret Service informed Las Vegas PD they were going to medevac the POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presumed meant flying back to the East ASAP. And apparently the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or possibly already dead. I don't think too much about this lead, or I didn't think too much about it, and it seemed too wild to be true. But given that Joe Biden has been out of the public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an X post, and his brother James indicated his health was a factor, I begin to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone with LV Metro has information, please email Charlie Kirk. So now the dossier obtained independent testimony from over half a dozen law enforcement officers who participated in the president's security detail, and others who spoke from firsthand knowledge of the incident that unfolded that day. For this story, we worked with Turning Point Action to secure the testimony of several sources and to vet their legitimacy. Officers working from the president's detail described that Wednesday as chaotic from the very start. President Biden was already way behind schedule before the incident. Several sources said things really went haywire after he'd been present at a famed local Mexican restaurant called Lindo, Michoacan, where he was doing the round shaking hands and greeting donors. Then, suddenly, when he was supposed to be scheduled to deliver the speech, all hell broke loose. Several law enforcement officers on duty that day were informed over the radio that the president was dealing with an unspecified medical emergency. That's far from a case of the sniffles, guys, I agree. This was sent out on encrypted police airwaves as if something akin to a 5-alarm fire had broken out. Our sources estimate that it was easily hundreds of Las Vegas metropolitan officers and employees who heard the broadcast live, so curious media shouldn't have a problem reporting any follow-up to the story. The dispatch has made clear that this was much more than a mere change of plans, because it set into motion much of their on-duty emergency response apparatus. Radio dispatchers, responsible for coordinating with the president's detail, requested an immediate surge of law enforcement resources into the area, both to secure the vicinity and to expedite the president's movement. According to these law enforcement sources, the president's motorcade was initially planning on heading to the University Medical Center, which was located about 2 miles up the road from the president's position. Police answered the call, rapidly deploying their in-the-box emergency squads to facilitate the reroute to the hospital. While researching for this story, we found that the local NBC affiliate KSNV confirmed last week, without much publicity, that UMC was on standby after being alerted about a possible medical issue with President Joe Biden Wednesday afternoon while he was visiting Southern Nevada. But the president's team decided not to bring him to the hospital. The plans changed in rapid succession once more. It was then relayed over to on-duty officers on the president's detail that they would need to clear an express route to the Harry Reid International Airport. The police assigned to the president's detail and the emergency in-the-box squads then redeployed their resources to getting the president out of town as fast and as safe as humanly possible. Emily Gooden, the senior White House correspondent for the Daily Mail, reported that on the journey back east, Air Force One flew so fast the plane shook, arriving in Dover in just 3 hours and 48 minutes. Several of the officers we spoke to said this was indeed being reported and acted upon as a full-blown medical emergency, insisting that a simple positive COVID test would not have warranted such a drastic, massive response. I would agree. Only President Biden and his inner circle seem to know the truth about what exactly happened last week in Las Vegas. Hopefully the public will be made aware of the events that necessitated his emergency departure from Sin City. Thanks again to the fantastic team at Turning Point Action for securing some of the sourcing for this story. I would agree with that as well. Wow. Quite the story, guys, and quite unlike the one we're being told in the mainstream media. A positive test and upper respiratory distress my butt. Something big has happened here, and we're being kept in the dark. And so I guess maybe all their clones have failed, and they don't have a replacement clone. I don't know. Are we going to see Joe Biden appear on the world stage again? Somebody in a mask or what have you? Who knows at this point? But I do know this. That this video was made back in 1988 or 89. You'll have to look and see for yourselves. I'm not going to play it for you here, but I'll put the link up as always. This eerie President Ford prediction about the first woman president and how that's going to come to pass. And it sounds almost identical to what we see unfolding in front of us right here, right now in 2024. So check this video out. I'll put the link up like I always do. But President Ford predicted the first woman president would come about this way. she would be a vice president to begin with. And when the real president dies, that's how she would take office. And so I'll let you watch the rest on your own. But that is it for now. I'll keep my eyes on all these things as always, but I definitely wanted to get this story to you because we're not, once again, we're being told complete lies in the mainstream media. But I'll keep my eyes on things like I always do. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.